Recently, Casey Hudson, general manager of Bioware, confirmed that there were small teams at the studio working on the continuation of both the Dragon Age and Mass Effect series. We of course were happy to hear this news, and it also got us thinking, where could the stories of both franchises go next? In this video, we're going to delve into a few possibilities that we've kind of thought up and that are kind of obvious in the Mass Effect universe to try and answer that very question. We'll have a separate video for Dragon Age on the same subject coming very soon, which Rima is currently working on. But for now, let's get into it. We're pretty sure it's safe to say that most people miss Shepard. They felt a connection to them over the original trilogy, experiencing the Reaper War alongside them. But not a huge amount is known about Shepard's life before the first game, other than references. Could Bioware look back to the beginning of the series with a prequel? It would be interesting to see Shepard in action during, say, the Skillian Blitz, which, if you think back to the beginning of the first Mass Effect, is referenced when you pick your background at the start of the game, getting the most detail if you choose the war hero backstory. Seeing Shepard go through the different types of story in his early days is definitely something we'd like to see, but it remains to be seen if a full game can be made from these events. Maybe something like a Telltale structured game, something like that. While Mass Effect Andromeda's development had a few, shall we say, issues, a decent game still came out, after a bunch of patches to fix certain game elements and some questionable facial animations, of course. A possible way to redeem the difficulties of the past is to continue the story that was laid out in Andromeda. Some of the things I really liked in the game were the combat, the environments, and the idea of starting fresh in a whole new galaxy. As with the original trilogy, there is still a lot of scope for new stories in an already existing universe, and considering the amount of planets that we're able to visit in Andromeda can be counted on both hands and still have some fingers to spare, there is definitely some room for expansion. Whether the majority of people will want a continuation of the Andromeda storyline remains unclear, but could Andromeda get a sequel? This time with some TURIANS perhaps? Never say never. Another option for the next game could be to jump forward after the events of the ending of Mass Effect 3, say 100 years or so, to see how life in the galaxy has progressed since your final choice was made on the Crucible. Of course, this would depend entirely on what choice you made at the end. It could be interesting to see how the universe is dealing with life either free from the Reapers, with the Reapers under control, or seeing how life has adapted after Synthesis has had a chance to progress. It could even allow for previous characters that are part of longer living species, like the Krogan and the Asari, to pop back in for a cameo, or even return to the series for a full rerun, like Rex, Grunt, or Liara. The only problem I can see with doing a new Mass Effect game set not too long after Mass Effect 3 is the distinct lack of any kind of big bad or any big enemy. It'd be pretty tall order to be the baddies that follow the Reapers, although would be interesting to see what Bioware could come up with to follow the Reapers. So far, this idea holds my interest a little bit more than the rest of them, but the lack of any kind of enemy force worthwhile of going up against the protagonist is a problem. I'm sure Bioware could come up with something that would respect the lore and the universe that is behind them to create a worthwhile continuation, but the same problem as the first entry rises again. Would it be possible to make a full Mass Effect game with not a huge amount to go on? I would be interested to find out. This one's short, but this one's kind of an obvious one as well. One thing you do get to sort of experience, in the first game at least, is the later fallout of the events of the First Contact War. 3 months of fighting between the Turians and humans, the latter who were trying to turn on as many mass relays as they could find, much to the irk of the Turians, and at the time was against Citadel Council law to do so. These events would lead to the occupation of Shanxi, a human colony close to Mass Relay 314, where the whole conflict began in the first place. While it would be great to see these events play out in a game, every piece of information or lore that I've had to try and find for this video says that this was a very small war. tiny compared to the events of the Reaper War, so while it's probably not the best option for a full game, definitely a good contender for some sort of DLC in the future. And finally, this entry came from a conversation between us and viewers while we were streaming recently, and is a bit more for fun than anything else. And the idea is, while making a full Mass Effect game, and what I mean by that is while developers are working on a full Mass Effect game, maybe put together a small collection of backstories and pasts of the former crew that we've been with before, like Garrus, Liara, Samara, Thane. There's a pretty good amount to choose from. And you could delve into their backstories and their pasts and play through, and basically play through up until the point that they are just about to meet Shepard, or just about to come into maybe like the first or second Mass Effect, depending on when they come into the story. If Bioware are able to make this game themselves, then it does lend itself pretty well to another Telltale style format, although they would have to stay pretty much on point with the lore and story, of course. That's it for our handful of ideas, but we really want to know what you'd like to see for the continuation of the Mass Effect series. So put your ideas down in the comments, and the best 5 that we see will be featured in a Commenters Edition video in the near future. So get your thinking caps on and get your ideas down. Thanks for watching, like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one.